What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Dog Check post game show. Yeah, it might seem like I'm somber, but I'm feeling under the weather. But
Feel better, man.
yeah, but I couldn't let the post game go without another week, especially after a game like this, and the fact that it's the Steelers game. Like, what kind of people would we be if we didn't cover this game?
Yep. It's today's a bad day, man.
Yeah.
Today's a real bad day. Trying to grab the stats here. But there we weren't particularly good in any phase of the game today. The defense, the defense was just tired by the end of it. So
Especially when you're on the field as much as they were.
exactly. So the Steelers, ended up running up the score, towards the end. But it wasn't the defense wasn't quite as bad as the score reflects.
Yeah.
But they were bad. They were not good. The offense was putrid.
Yeah. That's I think that's still being kind.
It was rotten, man. Like it was
Well,
it was horrible.
Before we continue, we do have our first guest for the Dog Check, and that would be my former coworker, my former supervisor, and my buddy right here, Justin Stanton. How you doing, Justin?
Good, man. What's up?
Been better
Yeah,
on multiple fronts. So I know I talked to Sean about this before and during the game, and it seems to be something that we talk about every week that we have this show. And I know I talked to you a little bit about it before the game, and you even went on Facebook and talked about it. And that's the performance of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
He's not the entire reason we lost the game.
No, for sure not.
No.
But we'd be remiss to say that at this point, you have to start questioning whether or not he can be your franchise quarterback going forward.
Questioning?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not ready to give up on him yet, but he makes it hard sometimes, for real.
There was a point today at which I texted Matt and I just said, "All right, I'm ready to see Case. What's up?"
Yeah.
I mean, it was just it got that out of hand that I was just like, you know what? And I'm a Baker fan, but geez, man.
Yeah.
Like, you can't cut like 30 commercials and then go out and play like that. Like, you just look like you should have been spending time looking at your playbook more, or in the weight room, work it out, or something. Like,
for sure.
Take care of priority number one. And he just looks bad, man. The first pick was like I think the worst read I've seen in any football game in the whole season.
I don't know what he saw today. Yeah,
and I'm not even talking about just Browns. I mean, it was literally the worst read of the season so far.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that one.
like how do you not like? I mean, let's just have a moment of silence for that.
All right, moment of silence.
We're done.
But no, Justin, I know you. You are one of the best football minds I know, and I want your opinion. Like, what were you thinking while watching this game?
It's just that, I mean, like I was talking to you about before, like, I get the offense is hurting right now, Chubb is the heart and soul of the offense. He's gone for at least a couple more weeks. Teller's out. He's been a beast. So I knew we weren't at 100%. I wasn't expecting to go out and just completely blow them out. But it's just like, it seems like, I mean, it's not even just Baker. I mean, Baker is a big thing, a big part of it. But it's just like the whole team just doesn't seem to show up in the big games. It's like, getting all these wins against teams, that we should be beating is fine and all, but it's like in order to make a statement, we're going to have to eventually show up against, the big dogs. Like, we can't just continually get blown out by the Ravens and the Steelers and like those kind of teams, or else like nobody's ever going to take us seriously. And even if we do wind up going 11-5 at the end of the season, which I think is a decent possibility that we do, if we don't win against the teams in our division, like what is that even going to matter? It won't matter. It's almost inflated to a point. Like that 11-5 record might as well be 8-8 or whatever. If we can't beat the teams in our division, like we got to show up eventually. And that's what I was saying about Baker. Like, I'm not ready to give up on him yet, but it's just like, he seems to just like cave under pressure. Like whenever it's a big game, big spotlight, it's just, I don't know if he gets nervous, but it's like he holds on to the ball too long. He doesn't step up into the pocket. Very rarely does he ever step up into the pocket. And then it's just like, I hate to be that, because we've heard it for, since we drafted him. I hate to be the guy, he's too short, blah, 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 whatever. But he does seem to have trouble, finding his reads downfield over top of the linemen a lot of the time. And that, I wouldn't say it's going to go away completely, but it would help him a lot if he did step up into the pocket more.
Yeah. He has to learn to step up. I think that he has some bad habits from college, in that, like in college he was
able to gamble and get away with it.
Well, not only that, but in college he's one of the best athletes on the field. Right?
Yeah,
he can run away. He can run away from defensive ends in college. He's faster than a lot of them in college. In the NFL, that is no longer true, my guy. These like every single player aside from the defensive tackles or nose guards of the Steelers could line up in a foot race and beat Baker Mayfield on defense. Every player. The
and
linebackers,
they all probably outweigh him by 50 plus pounds.
Yes. The linebackers, the defensive ends, obviously the corners and the safeties, but literally everybody on that defense, except the defensive tackles, obviously, because those dudes are 400-pound monsters.
I don't know, bud. I don't know.
He's not. That guy's not beating him in a straight foot race. That's not happening. That's a little outrageous. I'm not gonna just destroy the dude beyond what's fair, right? We're gonna keep it fair, but like you got to figure, like on a defense that has 11 people, 9 of them would outrun him flat out in a foot race. So he can't roll out to the right away from pressure. Now, bootlegs are fine. That's a designed rollout, and the protections are set for that. But you can't have him fading to the right, fading to the left, instead of stepping up into the pocket and letting the pressure go past him.
Yeah, and part of it, too, also is like he doesn't seem like when they give him the opportunity to run, a lot of times he doesn't. He seems scared to. And I get today having, hurt ribs or whatever, you don't want to take that hit. Whenever you can avoid taking the hit, you avoid taking the hit. But still, like a lot of times, not, specifically to this game, but, in his career in general, he's given the opportunity to take off and make something of the play. And a lot of times he just doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you end up with a throwaway or a sack.
And honestly, when he does run, he has poor like vision as a runner too. He takes poor running angles against defenders. And so they wrap him up like 100% of the time. The first hit gets him.
Yeah,
he never breaks a tackle. And don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting the quarterback to break tons of tackles. Like that's
no. He's not Jackson. He's never going to be.
He's not Jackson. He's not Wilson. He's not
Cam
Allen. Because Josh Allen's been doing that this year.
Right. He's not a Cam Newton type. That's not him. He's not going to break a ton of tackles, but he takes poor running angles when he does take off. And that allows him to get ran down like a deer, every single time. And part of that, part of the angles thing is the stepping up in the pocket. When you step up in the pocket, you force the defensive ends to try to bend around and make that turn. And most of them are going too fast to do that. And that's why stepping up works.
Yeah, I mean, look what Drew Brees has been doing for the last 20 years.
Exactly.
Drew Brees isn't taller than Baker, but he doesn't seem to have a problem doing, throwing over the line when he steps up.
Well, he finds lanes. He doesn't throw over the line. He throws through the line.
Yeah.
So most of the time, he does occasionally loft one over, but for the most part, he shifts to the left, shifts to the right, steps forward, and finds a seam that he can throw down, as opposed to trying to throw over the line. That is part of Baker's problem. Is he tries to throw directly over the line, and that doesn't work when you're 5'11" and the defensive tackles are 6'8". That doesn't work.
No, I'm not saying draft a QB, but depending on how the rest of the season goes, you need to look at your options. I mean, players like Jacoby Brissett as a decent stopgap going into free agency.
I found myself today wishing that we had called Cam Newton.
Cam Newton's going to be a free agent. That's another one. I mean,
yeah, but I don't think he's going to be available. Honestly, I think the Patriots are going to retain him.
Oh, I do too, but it's just one of those things, and I want him to succeed. But at the end of the day, if you're not showing me what I need to see, then I got to look elsewhere. If year 3 is make or break for quarterbacks. The Jets right now are the only winless team. If they're saying, "Hey, we'll give up Darnold for a second-round pick," I might even take a look at that, because
for sure, I would for sure take him,
because as much shit as we're giving Baker, Darnold's been in an even worse situation.
Yeah,
I mean, you have arguably the most egotistical coach who does nothing in the NFL, and Adam Gase.
Yep.
And then you had Todd Bowles.
I just want to point out that
you say Darnold is worse than Baker, but the point I'm making is he's been in a worse situation than Baker. Doesn't matter that Baker's had 4 different coaches in 3 years. It's the fact that Gase isn't a good coach. There's no line around him.
Yeah, and also Baker has weapons. Like, Baker's looking bad with weapons. Like, for years, we used to say, I'm sure you guys remember this talk. It used to happen all over sports talk radio, everywhere. Well, you can't properly evaluate a quarterback that has no weapons. Well, Baker has weapons like nobody else in the league. There is no team more stacked on offense than the Browns.
I just said Baker has had no consistent coaching staff, but that doesn't you.
Brett, I gotta strongly disagree here with that mattering. Like, it's true, but it doesn't matter. You see first-time coaches that have talent on the team go to the playoffs year 1.
Yeah.
You see that all the time. So consistent coaching, not a factor. He has a good coach now.
I love what Stefanski's doing so far.
Yeah, Stefanski is drawing up good protections. Stefanski is doing inventive play calling. He has some trick plays that he runs from time to time. Stefanski's calling a good game. I got very little complaints except the lack of screens. Although we pulled a screen out today finally. I've been bitching about screens every week because I think we have so much speed that we should be utilizing some bubble screens.
See, he's not saying coaching doesn't matter. He's saying the consistent coaching aspect of it doesn't matter. It's the quality of the coach that matters.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. I'm sorry, Brett. Like, I'm not mad at you, but like, dude, don't try to twist my word. Coaching matters in the NFL. Coaching matters in the NFL, and quarterback play matters in the NFL. And frankly, if you have both of those, you can go win a ton of Super Bowls like the Patriots did. Like,
and the thing is, Darnold had a decent coach his first year. Todd Bowles, when Darnold looked okay, and he was in Bowles, that was. It's like, all right, cool. Baker just had a better year than that year, and that's why we were all cool with Baker. Let's be honest.
Yep.
These past 2 years, he's had Gase and no line.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with Baker, because before it was like, well, I mean, well, not even just with Baker, but just any quarterback we've had over the last 20 years. It was always, oh, well, they don't have any weapons. Oh, well, they don't have a line to protect him. Well, the thing now is we have a line to protect him. He has all the weapons in the world.
Yep.
So, and he had, like you guys said, he has a good coach now. I mean, I'm not ready to shoo Stefanski into the Hall of Fame quite yet.
No,
but I mean,
no.
You got to understand
he's
got to be, he's a big step up from Kitchens. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh,
so,
it's not
you can't make that excuse for Baker anymore. Like,
no,
it's time for him to step up and start using the team, the team that they built around him. Like right now, as much as I hate to say it, he's looking like, I mean, other than our defensive backfield, he's looking like the weakest link on our team right now, which you can't have that from your number one overall franchise quarterback.
I gotta say it, man. It's gonna sound rough, but it's gonna be it's a hot take here. Baker has played worse than any defensive back that we have this year. He has actually been worse than Sendejo.
I don't know about
that. I don't know about that, but it might be
worse than Sendejo. He has been, because like Sendejo's actually made a couple plays, and most of the a good chunk of the problems that the defensive backs have faced have been because Baker's not playing well, putting them in bad situations and things like that. Like, I mean, we gave up 38 to the Steelers, but we gave up 2 interceptions, short fields all day. Yeah, we're gonna give up a lot of points when we give up short fields all day long, when we give up pick sixes. When we can't stay on the field on offense, we're 3 and out, pick, 3 and out. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to give up a lot of points. Those dudes are going to be gassed. They're going to be beaten down. And, I mean, maybe it's a little aggressive to say he's worse than Sendejo, maybe.
Yeah.
But like,
and the problem with Sendejo is I was pumped when we signed him. Watching him in Minnesota, I was a fan. I thought he was good there, and I just don't. I mean, I get that he might be playing a little bit out of position here. He is more of a strong instead of a free, but I mean, still, he is constantly out of position on almost every play and just gets made. He looks like a fool 90% of the time. And it's like, one good play here or there mixed in with 10 horrible blown plays, doesn't really save you.
Yeah, I think we're complete idiots if we're not playing Redwine over him going forward.
Oh, for sure. It's like I'm not saying Redwine's going to the Pro Bowl ever in his career, but I mean, just in the last 2 games, you can see it's like when you put him on the field, he automatically is in the mix, making plays.
He's an instant upgrade.
Exactly.
Instant upgrade. Like in every single down and distance, he is an upgrade. He's faster. He's quicker. He reads what the offense is doing better. He understands the defense better, which I'm shocked at, because typically, I mean, Redwine's a second-year player, right? Or is he third year? This is third year.
Second year.
Second year. And what? Second-year player in the league 10 years, 11 years?
I think 8, 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there. He's a seasoned vet.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Redwine outstudying him is embarrassing, and it's pathetic. And honestly, I wouldn't be upset if they cut Sendejo tomorrow.
No, not at all.
I'd be like, all right, you guys want to win. Yeah. You're cutting the dead weight.
And that's the thing. Like, there's free agents at home sitting on the couch right now that almost 100% are likely to outplay what we've been getting from Sendejo.
Yeah, Sendejo's been embarrassing.
So, I mean, somebody, do something.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably quarterbacks at home sitting down that could beat Baker too. I mean, it's just he's honestly, today he was an embarrassment. And I know that's like rough, but it's just true. He couldn't read the defense. He had happy feet. He was drifting out of the pocket in times when he should have stood and delivered. He's just flat out missing people. And then the most egregious thing was just not reading the defense.
He definitely had problems reading that, any kind of zone blitzing. Like, I mean, I get, like I was telling Matt, Pittsburgh's number one in the league in sacks. They blitz more than anybody, and Baltimore's second behind them. And if you look, that's who we've had the most difficult time against, not even just this year, but in general, those two teams, that type of defense. So it's like, obviously Baker should know that's a problem he needs to fix. So he needs to get in there, watch the tape, and do what he can do to fix that. Because if he doesn't start, like I said, if he doesn't start showing up in the big games, doesn't start showing up against those divisional opponents, I mean, whether you personally like the guy or not, whether you think his commercials are funny or not, like, there's no reason to keep him around if he's not going to, win the important games for you.
Exactly. I mean, like, it's just sad, man. It's just so sad.
I always pull the rug out from under us.
What's that?
They always pull the rug out from under us just when you start, getting a little
excited, a little juiced.
Excited about it, and it's like, oh nope, here you go.
I mean, the line on today's game, by the way, was only 3 points.
Yeah,
and a 3-point line is basically a wash because they give 3 points to whoever's at home.
Yeah,
like that's how that works. Like if they're expecting you to win by 10, but you're at home, they'll give you 7. Like, or you're away, then they give you 7. Like, they expect the home field advantage to be about a 3-point differential on average. That's how the numbers work out. So, I mean, they ended up beating us by 31. That's absolutely insanity. That means they, under-delivered by a massive amount. I mean, but to be fair, double-digit spreads are like that. That's never a thing in the NFL, hardly ever. It's always a 7, 9, 6 points, 6.5, somewhere in there. But to be only favored by 3, the Steelers only being favored by 3, and being at home, that means that they were expecting this game to be a push.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous. But I mean, I would have, from a play calling standpoint, there is an adjustment that I would have made at halftime. When I noticed that the defensive ends were basically living in our backfield, I would have started running some more I formation sets to have those additional on passing plays, to have those additional blockers already in the backfield. To protect, when the pass defense inevitably broke down. But that didn't happen, and it's not really something that's super common in Stefanski's offense. There's a lot of a lot of single backs, stuff like that, which is fine. That's standard, but for extra protection, I would have ran some more I formation than he did. I think he ran it a couple times, but I think we should have saw more of that to combat how ridiculous that pass rush was today. Just a thought.
Yeah. No, and I just saw some of the quotes from Stefanski's post-game press conference. He said he pulled Baker because he couldn't stand seeing him continually get hit. And in my mind, I'm like, why didn't you pull him in the first half? If that was your reasoning, if he's injured and you still want a chance to win the game, you don't wait till when you did to throw Keenum out there. It's just the truth.
Yeah, I think he was trying to preserve Baker's what's the word I'm looking for? Preserve his confidence. Because pulling him when the game is still in doubt is a vote of non-confidence when it comes down to it. I mean, granted, he deserved that that non-confidence today, but unless you're ready to move off a quarterback, you don't do that. I mean, that's my opinion, though.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're getting ready to bench him going forward, you don't pull him in the second quarter when the game still has some doubt in it, because that makes it that tells the world basically that there's essentially a quarterback controversy in Cleveland, which is going to be distracting. I mean, I know what you're saying, and like logically that makes sense, Matt.
Yeah.
But when you factor in like what it's going to do to his psyche, what people are going to be talking about and stuff like that,
I'm going to be honest. Personally, I wouldn't have even started Baker Mayfield. I wouldn't have given him the chance just because he is injured.
That would have been the move. And then you say he's injured, and
great. and this is a side of Baker that upsets me. When asked about his injury to chest and ribs, Baker said it didn't affect his performance today, and there was no discussion at halftime about him being sidelined after taking a big hit from Cameron Hayward.
That may be true.
I'm sorry, but I don't believe that the ribs and chest didn't affect them. There times after passes, you saw him doing one of these.
Yeah, but he has to say that, though, because if he's hoping to play next week, then he has to say, I'm not injured, I'm fine.
And I get that. But to a certain degree, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, if you're injured, you're going to do more harm to your team as the quarterback, especially when it's your throwing side.
Yeah.
Than you are if you're
I'm fully in agreement with you that he should have sat today.
Yeah.
Right. But if he's expecting to play next week, then he can't tip his hand that he's hurting. He has to lie. He has to, because if he admits it, you're going to see defenders. You're going to see a lot of jailbreak blitzes. You're going to see them just basically trying to punish him to knock him out of the game. And it displays and he's also doesn't want to be making excuses either. If he goes, oh, well, I played bad because I was hurt, now immediately he's an excuse maker to the media. He kind of has to lie and say, nope, didn't affect me. I just had a bad day. I messed up. It's me. Well, it wasn't the injury. He has to say that.
But here's the thing.
Even if it's a lie.
He could say, yeah, it was the injury, but I wanted to play through it, so that's on me. I wanted to try. I wanted to be the guy. There's a balance you can find there.
You can find the balance, but I think that he did exactly what I would have expected him to do.
What were you about to say, Justin?
Sorry,
I was just going to say, no, it's fine. I was just about to say, this could have been, his breakout moment, stepping up in adversity, flu game type moment, come out, lead the team to victory against your biggest rival, and I
think that's what he was hoping for.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was, but obviously, I mean, it's just, I don't know. He just
ribs
are no joke when you're a quarterback.
Yeah, we do have an injury update. Devin Bush, it is official. He tore his ACL, so that is a big loss for the Steelers going forward.
Yeah,
and that could affect
the Browns Steelers
the second game.
Rematch. It will affect it. It's not a could. It would. I mean, he's one of their dogs on defense. He is.
Yeah, but you know how the Steelers are.
Yeah. No, they're very workmanlike. They're very next man up.
Yeah.
The guy behind him probably is almost as good as him. That's just how it is in Pittsburgh, unfortunately. They have depth always somehow. I don't know how they do that, but
it's called good drafting.
Yeah, it is. I felt, believe it or not, I don't know if you guys noticed this too. I felt like Chubb was missed more than just his running.
No,
because Chubb is amazing in pass protection.
He's amazing in pass protection. He
gets pancakes on DNs. What? But go on, Matt. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I was just agreeing with you. It's just one of those things where you got to figure out what life without him is going to be like. Granted, this was week number. What was this week 2 or 3 without him?
2. This was week 2. We lost him in the
beginning of the Cowboys game.
In the beginning of the Cowboys game, right?
Yeah.
And his loss was felt there too. But honestly, we were just so much better than the Cowboys that it didn't matter. I mean, we were a better football team than the Cowboys by a lot.
So realistically, if I'm the Browns, I know they said 3 to 6 weeks. If I'm smart, I just let them next week. Cincy, granted, I'm starting to think we have to worry about Cincy because Cincy came out today. Granted, they choked the lead away. They pulled an Atlanta Falcons, but they were up 21-0 at one point today.
The trade deadline is in November, right?
November 5th, if I remember correctly. It's the trade deadline.
What if we reached out to the Cowboys and tried to trade? Oh, Dak's hurt. That's right. He's injured. I was gonna say because they're having all the contract dispute and stuff like that. I mean, and
there's talk Dak may never be the same player, and that's
right. I forgot about the injury for a minute, but they were having the contract dispute, we know Jerry Jones loved Baker coming out. I thought maybe we might be able to do something there, because Prescott would be a beast in this offense. He would. He'd be an MVP in this offense.
Well, because if you're doing the rollouts and everything breaks up, if he was healthy, he'd have the ability to run it. But I get what you're saying. But yeah, it's just
that would have been a perfect storm.
I don't think you get your upgrade at QB this year. That's just the truth.
No, you can't. You can't get in season.
Unless the Falcons decide to unload Matt Ryan.
Oh, that would be great. I mean,
which there's talks that they might, but
or the Lions.
Yeah, but that was before they won today.
That could happen too. The Lions with Stafford could happen. It's less likely, but it could happen. And I would take Stafford for sure.
I would take either of them.
Yeah, but I mean they're the same dude, really. Yeah. Like Stafford and Ryan they're literally the same guy.
Ryan's just a little less injury prone though.
Yeah. But we have a good offensive line. Yeah. The injury prone issue isn't so much of a problem when you have a good offensive line.
Yeah. But you got to worry a little bit going into next week when it comes to the Bengals. Although you see people like BJ Goodson come out and say, yeah, okay, sure, we played bad today, but look at how we responded when we played bad against the Ravens. So
I don't like that. That's a fan take. That's not a football player take.
You could say it's a football player take.
That just doesn't sound like, that, I don't know. That I just don't like that statement. There's something about it that just kind of rubs me weird.
No, because every game you should be going out playing every game like you're playing in the freaking Super Bowl. It shouldn't matter if you're playing against the Ravens, you're playing against the Jets, you're playing against whoever,
Thank you, Justin. I was trying to figure out why I didn't like that. I knew I didn't like that statement at all.
You get your ass kicked, you get your ass kicked. It doesn't matter who you played against.
Well, in his defense, the question was worded as, do you think the team can come back next week and respond after the brutal loss?
Yeah, that's a leading question. I would say, I think a better response would have been like, look, I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff. I got to go watch film, and then I got to walk off the podium. You know what I mean? Like that's how you win the press conference is you just leave and you say, I got to watch film. I got to go watch some film. I'm done here.
I do got to say, I got to give respect for Kevin Stefanski coming to Odell's defense, because people are like, oh, Odell being visibly frustrated and vocal with teammates, is that a problem? He's like, that's normal frustration in a loss like this.
Yeah, we got blown out.
You should be pissed off.
Of course he's pissed. Yeah,
come on. I don't know about you, but when I'm playing Madden and I'm down by like 20 some odd points to someone and it's the fourth quarter, I'm throwing my controller on the ground. I'm getting pissed. Like, everyone is competitors like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can ask my girlfriend, like, when the Browns are losing, the cat hides. and it's not because I would attack the cat, but it's because I'm loud, I'm frustrated, I'm yelling, and the cat hides behind things and underneath the bed and stuff like that. Like, the cat is just out of here, man. Like, she's like, this is too intense for me. I'm gone. So for a player to react with some frustration, he's actually in the game. Naturally, he's going to be way more frustrated than me. I mean, he just lost by 31. Come on.
And there's I do got to say, there was a ton of times today, and I don't know, Justin, I'll refer to you after this. There was a ton of times today where it seemed like the Steelers went offsides, and we couldn't get a damn call in regards to that. How do you feel about that, Justin?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's always questionable because, I mean, obviously that line on TV is never 100% accurate. But, yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, because as much as I love him, there's plenty times where I'm watching the Browns game, I've seen miles, and I'm he's a little bit offsides, and it never gets called. So, I mean, I get that, but I guess it's just part of the game.
Yeah, I mean, refs tend to shade towards, the aggressor, if you know what I mean. Like they typically kind of reward aggression in that, you know, if you're always offsides, then you're never offsides.
Yeah,
that's
true.
That's kind of how that goes. You know, if you're offsides on 75% of the snaps, they just don't ever call it. Like they're just they you know, it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's blatant. Frank Clark, you know, you're a freaking yard past the line or whatever.
Yeah, but they'll typically give you a quarter yard. They'll typically give you a foot.
Yeah.
If you're always over the line. I mean, there was a game years ago where I watched James Harrison like line up offside with his hand in the dirt.
Yeah.
Literally a foot over the line every play. He was he was offsides. He was lined up offsides. It wasn't that he jumped. He literally had his hand in the dirt over the line for the whole game. Like, and he didn't get a single call. So, you know.
All right. So, question for you. And this is a fun fact, statistic, whatever. Only twice in Browns history has a player recorded 7 or more sacks in the first 6 games of the season. When are they and who?
I mean, Miles this year. Other than that, I don't even know if I was born.
4, 3, 2.
I got nothing but Miles
1.
on that.
All right. So, Justin, you were born for both times, and it's the same person because it was Myles Garrett this year and Myles Garrett last year.
Nice.
Wow. Okay, that makes sense. I considered that maybe it was Miles the other time, but I didn't think that it'd be something that obvious. You know, I thought it'd be some random like player from like the early 2000s on that Tim Couch team or something. Like I thought it'd be one of those cats. You know, like just kind of randomly looked into 7 sacks in the first 5 games, but no. Okay.
It's one of those things, man. Like how else can you do it? Like, and I don't want to see on Twitter today, oh, Myles didn't show up. Myles had 2 to 3 guys on him the majority of
the game. Always.
Yeah, he was triple teamed. Now there was the game 1. I actually criticized him in game 1.
We both did
because it felt like he was taking some plays off. To me, like watching, it looked like to me that there were some games where some plays where he just wasn't, you know, giving the effort in game 1. But that's been the only blemish to me on his record. And even then, I think he still got a sack in that game.
Yep, he did. 1.
So yeah, but it didn't feel like he was affecting the game. Other than that 1 sack, it didn't feel like he affected any real, you know, difference on the defensive line. And you know, I called him out for that, but. You know, outside of that, he has been a force on almost every snap of every game. It's almost like he heard me or something.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot. There's not a lot of positives to pull through from this game. We've basically talked on all the negatives. What else can you say? The line didn't perform. Baker didn't perform. The defense didn't show up.
You know what? Believe it or not. To me, the linebackers didn't look as bad this week.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the defense actually didn't play as horrible as I expected them to. You know, it's kind of skewed because of the pick six and that kind of stuff. But I mean, you know, other than, you know, giving up the 100 yards to Connor, you know, the rushing defense didn't look, you know, as great as it has the last few games. Like I wasn't as pissed at the defense as I expected to be. It was more so just the line and the offense in this game.
Yeah,
and I mean, we only gave up, you know, 162 yards passing.
It's just that field position they just got.
Yeah. It was our offense gave away.
Hooper did better than normal. Hooper's been on an uptick ever since week 3, though. So that's why I didn't even think to say anything about Hooper, because since week 3, he's been that consistent guy we were hoping to get.
Yeah, I love our tight ends. I wish we would use them more. Everybody was on this whole, Stefanski loves tight ends. It's constant 2 and 3 tight ends on the field at all times. And yeah, to an extent it has been, but I mean, it's not like,
Well, yeah, I mean, just
Hooper's
because they're on
been
the
getting
field,
10 catches every game after we made him the highest paid tight end in the league. I think when he does get the ball, he performs well, but it's like, okay, you have Hooper, you have Bryant, you have Njoku back healthy now, like use them.
Yeah. I mean, and just because they're on the Just because they're on the field doesn't mean they're going to get all the targets. I mean,
no, but I mean, being blocking for Hunt and everybody, that's fine,
Right.
But,
yeah, I mean, to me it seems like, Stefanski's offense is what we expected in that, it's a running offense primarily, and with it being a running offense primarily, there's just not that many passes to go around. I mean, Baker only threw 18 passes today, and he completed 10 of them. But 18 passes is not a large share of the offensive production. I mean, Kareem Hunt had 13 carries. Dontrell Hilliard had 4.
Dontrell Hilliard had some big ones towards the end. You just wish he had them when they mattered.
Yeah, it was in garbage time. They were playing a soft defense. That allowed a lot of underneath stuff and a lot of runs for 7, 8, 9 yards. They just didn't want to give away the bombs.
Yeah. We also didn't make him the highest paid tight end just for catches. The blocking has been good until today, obviously. Yeah.
Well, his blocking was still fine today. I got no issues with Hooper's pass protection, or even his run blocking. He's been fine. He's not been like, a world beater as a blocker, but he's been adequate. He doesn't blow assignments.
I'd say he's been above average. So
yeah.
Now, before we close it out, because like I said, there's not much we can say from this week. There is one thing I want to ask Justin about, and Sean, I know you and I talked about it before this. At this point, do you think Rashard Higgins has played his way into keeping the number 3 receiver spot with KhaDarel Hodge being out?
I do, but it is tough to say because, I mean, other than last week, he really hasn't gotten, it's not like he's getting thrown to very often. Like Sean was saying earlier, when Baker's only throwing 15 to 20 times a game, it's not like there's that big of a sample size to see. So, if he's getting 2 or 3 catches,
and
that's
both
fine.
weeks they've been touchdowns. That's part of the reason.
That's true. That's true. So that's it. It seems that he does make the most of them when he gets the opportunity. So yeah, I do say that he has locked up that 3rd spot. But I mean, you can't just in our offense, you kind of just got to ride the hot hand, and you can't just pigeonhole yourself into having, okay, well, it's going to be Juice and OBJ and Higgins, and that's going to be it for receivers, So, I mean, that 3rd spot might need to be a revolving door for whoever, week to week. If it's Higgins or Hodge or, Peoples-Jones or whoever.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think Peoples-Jones obviously has a place as a returner and everything like that.
And he's made a couple good catches when he's got the ball thrown his way too.
Yeah, but I find Rashard Higgins runs better routes.
That is
the touchdown that he had today. He was all alone. There was nobody around him for 4 or 5 yards. I mean, he was wide open, and that's really the only way that the only way Baker hit anybody today was if they were wide open.
Justin makes a good point, but I also feel like he should have been the 3 regardless since day one. It's crazy he hasn't been, and Baker had good chemistry last. He and Baker had good chemistry last year. They've always had good chemistry.
That's why he stayed. That's why he stayed. He didn't have to stay. He took less money to stay with us.
And unguaranteed contract at that.
To stay with Baker. I'm not saying that we should have gave him that 3rd spot. Regardless, obviously you gotta earn it. But I mean, yeah.
I mean, the reasoning for KhaDarel Hodge was his special teams, but I think Higgins brings something else more to the offense. You know what I mean? But with how our offense has been rolling, I wouldn't hate having a nice little spark plug to throw in there.
Yeah, and also the thing that you got to respect about Higgins is, other than Bitonio, he is currently the longest tenured Brown on the roster. He's been through the 0-16 and the 1-15. He stuck around when he didn't have to. He could have left. You know, like, you got to give him his props. Like,
he's one of those guys who fell in love with the city.
Yeah, I'm not saying you owe him 10 catches every game and, you know, you completely forget OBJ and Juice and the tight ends or whatever just to throw to Higgins. But, I mean, you got to give him his you know, just due.
So I got to say, just to kind of piggyback off that point, and also to kind of attack the idea of of Baker having good chemistry with him last year. Baker didn't have good chemistry with anybody last year.
No,
Baker was a mess last year. He had great chemistry with.
I think he meant like 2 years ago.
Yeah, the rookie year. But Baker had horrible chemistry with everybody. He came to camp out of shape. He had no escapability. He was
coaching. The play calling was shit.
Play calling was shit. Accuracy was shit. His arm didn't even look good last year because I think he was just so, you know, out of himself shape wise that he wasn't even really driving the ball. I mean, he just looked like a complete flop last year in every possible way.
He still looks better this year. I'm not going to take that away.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. But I think that's, you know, I think his conditioning is better this year. I think that the play calling is worlds better this year.
Yes.
And he has the full complement of weapons this year as well.
Yeah, as far as Baker goes, for me this year, it's not so much the physical aspect like it was last year, other than his ribs being hurt the past couple weeks. It's the mental aspect. Like, you have to get yourself in the right mindset to show up in the big spot, you know?
Yeah, and that's weird to me too, because like
he came in one of the most mentally strong players.
Yeah, out of college that was out of college that was his thing.
Yeah,
he was big game Baker. Like, that was, you know, the bigger the game was, the better he played. So it's really weird that.
Higgins statistically only played in like 3 games, and he had less than 100 snaps. So I can't even say that.
Yeah, Brett, I got to disagree, man. He didn't really play.
He had the first game, and then after that he was injured, and then healthy scratches for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you can't have chemistry with somebody who's not on the field. That doesn't work.
Yeah,
he was in the same situation as Njoku. Easiest way to put it.
Yeah,
he was on Farmer Fred's shit list for whatever reason, and you know.
As much as I feel like shit, that still put a smile on my face.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Justin.
Farmer Fred.
Oh my gosh.
Farmer Fred.
That's his name from now on. I'm calling him Farmer Freddy. That's it. Thank you.
Farmer Fred used to frequent at the Mayfield Starbucks over here back when he was the coach.
Did he?
Yes.
So, well, I wish that he had used some of those to stay up at night, you know, drawing up plays that worked, but
yeah.
Some of that coffee to good use.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was just mean. I don't know what's wrong with you today. That was just mean. That wasn't even constructive. That was just cruel.
I'm glad, as wrong as this will say, I'm glad we went through Farmer Fred, because imagine if we had the same type of season last year with Stefanski as head coach.
Imagine if we had a third year of Hugh instead.
You mean a fourth year?
A fourth year, sorry. A fourth year of Hugh. Imagine if it had been a fourth year of Hugh instead.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, hindsight's 2020, obviously. But I mean, imagine if they would have brought Stefanski in last year like they wanted to in the first place, and, you know, we could have completely skipped last year altogether and would have just gone, you know.
Part of me is afraid you'd still have some of those chemistry issues. And
yeah, there wouldn't have been any kind of learning, you know, growing pains, whatever. But I mean, could have been better than last year.
Yeah. So.
But hey, like you said, hindsight's 2020. I'm glad we got him now.
Yeah. I think we have the right
They look
coach.
like a real football team.
Real quick, I know that we've talked about this in previous shows. You know, looking at, you know, where the Browns are likely to land, if Baker doesn't make a turnaround, who do you guys think is going to actually be available at our draft position without, say we go, 10-6, which I think is super reasonable.
Realistically, I think the best quarterback you can get in that range, and you're still going to have to trade up a bit, is going to be Justin Fields, because he's considered the third quarterback on that tree, and there's not much else outside of him.
Yeah, at this point, I don't even know if that's feasible, because I could easily see 3 quarterbacks going in that top 10.
Yeah.
And we're not picking, unless the wheels completely fall the fuck off, we're not picking anywhere close to that this year.
Right. I have us in the 16 to 22 range right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, which to me says that, if you can't get, your number one guy, then you just wait.
Yeah.
You wait another year, because
you gotta bring in someone like a Jacoby Brissett, who could possibly be in contest with Baker for that starting job going into year 4.
Yeah,
you could. But it's just, what do you do?
And in a perfect world, I would draft the best defensive player.
Yeah, pass rushing linebacker.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sean's hypothetical was, if Baker isn't able to make the turnaround, we're all hoping he does. So in that case, that's what we are answering.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, if Baker doesn't make the turnaround, I feel like, we have a couple holes, but nothing glaring. At that point, to me, honestly, you got to factor in the fact that we have a lot of secondary still injured, right? So
yeah. If Delpit can come back healthy, if Greedy can come back healthy.
I think it's your one safety away, because if you have that revolving door of Redwine, Delpit, if Delpit's playing well, and then Harrison, you just get that other safety, and you're fine at safety. Greedy needs to get healthy.
Right, but you can get your safety in the second round.
No, I'm not saying draft. I'm just talking in general about the team. Not saying draft.
No. In my opinion, first round, like, if we can get him, if he's there, I really like the kid out of Texas. I forget what his name is at this point. I think his last name starts with the O. Pass rushing outside linebacker, but also plays defensive end. He's like 6'4", 250 something, playing really good right now. We need somebody to.
Do you want to go after that guy from Baylor who Miles was trying to recruit?
Yeah, well,
that'd be cool. That'd be a cool thing to.
Anything will help at this point, but we need somebody to step up on, to take some pressure off of Miles, because, like you said, every play 2 and 3 guys on him at all times, but Vernon isn't stepping up. None of the other guys are stepping up and getting those sacks or those pressures when Miles is getting triple team. We need somebody on the opposite side, whether it's at end or linebacker or whatever, that's going to rush that passer and help take some of the eyes off Miles.
Yeah. So I've heard Matt's take on this particular thing, but I'd like to get your take on this, Justin. I have asserted that our holes outside of quarterback right now are moderate enough that this team itself, could be a Super Bowl contender if they had good quarterback play. I've made that assertion. And so there are, places where you could improve depth-wise, things like that. I have asserted that, that with our team talent in the place that it's at, in the window being what it is, to me, it would make sense to make a huge, massive, blockbuster trade to get up to 1 and get Trevor Lawrence.
Sean's idea is trading the next 3 years first, and I said, "Fuck that shit."
It sure is, because
I don't know if I can go that drastic.
Because you're not in the situation, like, for instance, like if you look back at when Washington did that, right? Their team was in shambles, and they traded the all those picks.
Yeah,
we're not in that situation. We have great team talent overall.
But Sean, here's the situation we're gonna be in a year or two. So you're gonna have to start letting go of some of these higher priced players.
Yeah,
right.
That's the thing. We have the people now, but you're gonna have to start paying people And so it's like
you got really next year.
Yeah, can you really broker the future the next 3 or 4 drafts for one person when we don't even know for sure after 2 years from now that we're going to be able to keep the weapons around him?
Yes.
And on top of that,
yes,
it's not like we have the best history drafting. That's the other thing. So if we were in a situation like the Ravens or Pittsburgh, where they consistently get these guys who are playing like first rounders in the 5th and 6th round, I'd be a little more okay with it. It's partly because of our history that I can't get behind that.
Yeah.
Right. But to be fair, on the other side of that is that, you know, if you have the quarterback and you have the quarterback, then, you know, a lot of those other deficiencies get kind of erased. You can deal with, you know, subpar linebacker play if you're scoring 30 points a game. You can deal with
Kansas City.
Exactly. You can deal with, you know, your cornerbacks give a big play every so often if you're going to score 30, 35 anyways, you know, and, you know, Beckham is signed for a long time. Still
3 more years after this.
3 more years. Yeah. And, you know, I think your window is, you know, you go and get somebody who can win now, who can win.
No, I get it. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, because you never know. You could do it and it could work out and be the best thing that ever happened to us, or it could be normal Browns history type shit, and we do it and then we're garbage for, you know, the next 20 years again. So I mean, you never know.
We've been through that game and we know what that looks like.
Yeah.
But my point is,
I'll agree it'd be, you know, some real big dick type energy from Andrew Berry if he did it and pulled it off. It showed that, you know, they're not fucking around anymore. But I mean, like Matt was saying, with our track record, I just don't know if you can take that risk.
But I don't think Andrew Berry's allowed to consider the failures of past GMs in his decision making.
Yeah, no, that's fair for sure.
But
I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, if Andrew Berry has
his track record, because it's not like he wasn't a part of some of those bad drafts. He has to reevaluate himself.
Yeah.
And that's why he's in a different situation, especially with this organization compared to a lot of others.
But not so much, though, because now he's in a situation where he doesn't have to draft starters. He has to draft depth.
Yeah.
He has to draft. He has to go into that reloading mode that the Steelers have been in for 20 years. He doesn't have to draft your next starting corner. We have starting corners. But he needs backup corners. He needs backup safeties. He needs backup linebackers. He needs depth now. So you can get depth 2nd, 3rd, 4th round reliably if you're not trying to hit a home run.
That's where they fail at hitting. They only normally hit in the 2nd round.
Because they're always looking for starters in the 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round. Now you're reloading. You're looking for reliable players. You're looking for the guy who can rotate in and there not be a drop-off. You're not looking for boom or bust type players. You're looking for players who are solid now. Your expectations and your aim, the type of player you're aiming at is different now because you're such a talented roster. You're just looking to minimize drop-off in 3rd and 4th string now. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for, I think that he has a really high ceiling and a really low floor. You don't draft those guys anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You have enough talent on the roster that you no longer need to draft the high upside, low downside players. You don't need them anymore. You don't have to do that. And so when you can draft safe because you're just drafting for depth, it gives you a lot of flexibility to make flashy moves at the top of the draft. To go get your quarterback.
Yeah.
That's my thought process, is that you don't need a new starting corner. You have to in Greedy
no, you might need one depending on how Greedy turns out.
I was going to say.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if your belief is that he's good, which my belief is
that Mitch has been pretty solid so far filling in.
Today was probably his worst performance.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, but you get my point. is that you have reliable, you have good starters in most of your roster. Weak spot is still linebacker, obviously, but you can find good linebackers in the 3rd, 4th round reliably all the time, all day long.
We did with Phillips. Everybody thought that was a reach, and he's actually been a very good pickup.
Yeah, I like Phillips so far when he's healthy.
Exactly. So, I mean, that's my point, is that, the type of players that you need now are easy to find in that 3rd, 4th round. So if you're trading first rounders to go get your quarterback, if you really believe that dude is, the dude, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Go do it.
We just got to hope we don't wind up pulling up Bears with Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, and you got to hope you don't end up with an RG3 for Washington.
Yeah.
I mean,
no. They had a star. The coach just fucked that up.
Yeah, they broke him. They broke him up because the first season he looked incredible until he got hurt. So yeah, you're right. But my point is that you have such a nucleus of talent outside of quarterback right now that if you think the missing piece is quarterback to become a Super Bowl contender, AFC championship contender, like a legitimate one, then you do that. And then you figure everything else out in the later rounds, like all the other good teams do.
Yeah.
You have to believe you can do that, or what are we doing with Andrew Berry? If we don't believe that he can draft, players that can come in and be 2nd round linebackers in the 3rd round, if we don't think he can draft like that, we should fire him now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just being honest. Like, if we don't believe that he can hit on those kinds of sort of draft decisions, because he doesn't need, like I said, to draft starters. If he can't draft backups effectively, get him the fuck out of here now. So that's my thought. That's my headcanon. Sorry for the rant, but
you're cool.
That's why I believe it like that, though. I mean, you think about it. You have your nucleus of talent on both offense and defense. Yeah, you got some holes, but they're holes that you can usually reliably fill in the mid rounds. Those first rounders, if you can parlay those into a legitimate can't miss quarterback, most people in the media and in most of the coaching and scouting reports that I'm reading say, Trevor Lawrence, is that kind of can't miss prospect.
I mean, motherfucker threw 5 touchdowns yesterday.
Pull the trigger. Pull it. Pull the trigger. Go get the motherfucker. Go do it. That's my thought. But maybe that's an unpopular opinion, especially for.
I told you my only issue I have with Trevor, and that's the cold weather. And that's how will he play in cold weather.
I mean,
that's the only question. That's the only question I really have. That's
a question, but you know what, dude? If that's our biggest question about him, then what the fuck are we talking about? Like, if our question's not accuracy, arm strength, intelligence to read a defense, if we know he has the athleticism, accuracy, arm talent, and intelligence to read a defense, I don't give a fuck about your concerns about his cold weather ability. I don't care. He'll figure that out. That's minor. That's very minor. I am not even trying to be a dick. It's just,
I know you're not.
It's just. Come on, man. Are we talking about whether or not he can play in the cold? Really?
That does become a factor in the NFL, especially in cities like Cleveland. When
it primarily becomes an issue for old quarterbacks, though. When quarterbacks get older, they start to kind of waffle in the cold. In a lot of cases, like your Drew Brees, he was pretty much okay in the cold weather early in his career. It's when he got old that I guess shit started hurting or something. But honestly, if he makes it long enough for that to become an issue,
that's Justin's quarterback.
You won.
Leave Drew Brees alone.
I love Drew Brees. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He should get in unanimously. He's one of the best that ever did it. But he has a history of playing poorly in inclement weather. He does.
I was just making fun of you for calling him old. That's all, Sean.
That's the one chink in his armor. Other than that, the dude is fucking mint. Yeah. But it's just like, that's your worry. Cold weather. Pull the fucking trigger. Pull that shit.
And on that note, we're going to call this one an episode. Thank you for joining us, Justin. Thank you all for joining us. I'm gonna go drink some more orange juice and go back to sleep. My ass needs it. So,
all right, later, man.
Have a good night, everyone.
Later.